Amen. That was beautiful. I love hearing voices together praising God. Amen. Did any of you play this children's game, Broken Telephone? No? Or is it a different word here in the States? Broken telephone? No? Okay, I'll explain it to you and maybe you'll tell me that you recognize it. It would be as if we had somebody here, Sister Mercy, who came up with a phrase and then she whispered it along the pews and it went whisper to whisper to person to person to person all the way to the back. And then we would see if the message that was given in the front would go to the back. What's this? Yes, you've played this game? What's it called here? Oh, it's just called telephone? We want to emphasize that it's broken. Because very rarely does the message that is communicated here make it all the way to the back without going through all sorts of contortions, right? A broken telephone. If you were here when we started off our time together this morning, one of the questions that I asked you to share was a time when you might have miscommunicated or there was a difference between what you were hoping to say and what somebody received. This happened, it can happen all too often, and there's a book that I like reading called Anguished English that includes a number of miscommunications or bloopers that people have found over the years. And I wanted to share a couple of them with you that come from church bulletins. And I want you to try and see what they're trying to say versus what is actually communicated, all right? Ready? Okay, here we go. The first one. Potluck supper Sunday at 5 p.m. Prayer and medication to follow. Slight difference, I think, between what they were trying to say and what they ended up saying. All right, here's another one. A little maybe more nuanced. Let's see, in this church bulletin it says, Miss Charlene Mason saying, "I will not pass this way again," giving obvious pleasure to the congregation. Slight difference between what they are saying, what they're intending to say, and what they get communicated. Because, well, for those of you who are trying to translate this, I apologize. But here's one that might be a little easier to translate. Don't let worry kill you off, let the church help. Feel like maybe there's a miscommunication. Intentions are good, but what is received is not great. This has happened to me. I think I've shared this story before, although I don't know if I've shared it with the whole congregation. So if I have, you might remember it. But I was in southern Mexico in my sophomore year during the summer. I was there for about 5 weeks to teach English. To teach English in Chiapas. And I was learning Spanish as I was communicating in English with the people there. There were very few who could actually speak English proficiently, so my Spanish was growing in leaps and bounds. And I was trying to communicate with my host parents, the people who were kind of looking after me. I was in a car with them, we were driving along. And just to let you know, set the scene, I was at, I think it's called Linda Vista University, down in Chiapas. It was a very conservative school. And I was there I was 19. And I was communicating with the person in the car. And I was telling them, and the Spanish speakers might know what I'm saying here. What I was intending to communicate was, I'm practicing my Spanish, but it's hard, and I get embarrassed. The Spanish speakers among you might know what I said. I said, estoy practicando mi español, pero es muy difícil y soy muy embarazada. For those who don't speak Spanish, what I said was, I am trying to practice my Spanish, but it's difficult, and so I am very pregnant. Yeah. And so the gentlemen, they looked at me, and they were like, I do not think you meant to say that. They explained to me that embarazada does not mean embarrassed in Spanish. And so I got even more embarrassed. Communication can fail sometimes, and there can be a gap between what you're trying to communicate and what people receive. We are in a sermon series entitled Family Matters, and it is based on the fact that family matters to us here at this church deeply, and that there are certain family matters that we want to think about how the gospel impacts how we lean into this family dynamic. And so we are talking about parenting in kind of a general frame and how the gospel impacts our parenting or grandparenting or how we interact with kids around us. But also underneath it, we are talking about the narratives or the basic values we have received from our parents and the one that God is trying to tell us. Last week, we shared from the book Discipline That Connects with Your Child's Heart 4 messages that the foundational message that we need to start with in whichever relationships we're in, this is talking about parenting, but it can be any, is that you are safe with me. So we spoke about last week, we spoke about this foundational fact that God says to us, we are safe with him. Trust is the foundation of our relationship with God, that we know that we are safe with him. How do we communicate that with those around us? And this week, we are at the next level. You are loved no matter what. It was interesting to me that safety comes before love, because we would normally think that love is the most foundational Why not demand instant obedience? Because God is all-powerful. He could have. Humans eat the fruit, and there is natural consequences of their choice. We're cut off from the garden and the tree of life, but not cut off from God. Even in that moment, God references the lengths to